Hey, 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 Dr.Minesha here, affectionately known as Dr. M, here in the Peace Driven Leader Lounge. You all, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time tuning into the podcast, I want to say thank you so much. I'm so grateful that our paths crossed when it did. Listen, you're in the right place at the right time in the right season of life. Because this is a place where real leaders who are living and leading real lives come together for growth and transformation. And I have with me on today Dr. Maya in the lounge. Thank you for coming and welcome. As I always say, no one can quite introduce themselves like themselves. So I'm going to give you the mic and give us a little context about who you are and in all capacities of life, right? Not just what you do in business and leadership. And then we'll dive right into the conversation today.
Excellent. Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful.
Thanks for having me here. Thank you again. So,
Absolutely.
I am Dr. Maya Faison, and I am really focused in on how do I help women to lead, grow, and take up space. So, I am a strategist and executive coach. I work with folks all across the country and a couple folks abroad. And I am really on a mission to help people reconsider their notion of what it means to be a good leader, especially for
Mm,
lead. I'm a mother of
yeah.
three biological children and three bonus children.
Uh-huh.
Married, sister, all the things, sister, friend, all the things.
All the
And
things, all the things.
I'm a first lady of Watson Grove Baptist Church.
Oh, now I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm full of surprise.
Yes. Awesome. So let's get right to it. I'm going to just go straight for the gusto and really ask you to define what you believe success looks like for you.
Yeah. So I think about this question and how I would have answered it 5,
Right?
10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Well, 10 years ago, the mission was to climb as high as possible, to get the biggest title, to get the biggest,
Mm,
to make sure I'm seen the most. That is what I probably would have said. And that was what I did. I started
mm,
coordinator positions and manager positions, and then I moved into eventually executive director and CEO roles. And in
mhm,
many roles, I found myself um, playing smaller than I needed to play.
mm,
And what I mean by that is I felt myself questioning, should I be in these spaces, even though I was probably
mm,
the most qualified person in the room. Uh,
hmm,
and what I started to realize was you can be successful in terms of salary and position and rank and all of that. But if
mhm,
internally you're not really understanding your worth and value, you've not achieved much at all. And so it took a bit of shifting for me to realize that I deserve to be in the room.
mm,
I do not need to prove myself. And that really this is about what am I willing to give to the situation, how I'm going to occupy the seat at the table, as people like to talk through. And so
absolutely.
now, if you talk to me about success, it's about can you be whole in a space? Can you show up?
Mm,
Can your voice be heard and valued? Do you feel like you can set boundaries and keep the boundaries? Do you feel
mhm,
healed? Like all of these are pieces of what I think it means to be successful. And the biggest piece here is can you operate in joy?
mm,
A lot of times we don't think about how joy plays a part in our ability to be successful or not, and how we define that.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I would love to talk a little bit more about joy. And the reason why is because it's like it doesn't automatically come with success. And it's one of the most deceived things because especially before you hit that pinnacle or that point in life, you literally feel that that's where that joy is going to come. Well, when I do this, when I hit this, y'all just, hold it down for me. So we tell our family, mommy's going to, after we do this and this, and after this position or this season,
Yeah.
and it's always this ongoing pursuit. And I believe a large part of that, Dr. Maya, comes from not feeling that sense of joy and really like this false sense of trying to achieve that joy that never comes. And so
Yeah,
I love the way you spoke about success and including joy in that because that is something that can be obtained prior to a goal that's hit, right? And so
yeah,
I would love for you to kind of unpack that a little bit more about how you were able to move from that previous version of yourself to the woman you are today that has been able to tap into joy with ease. What does that look like?
yeah. So, a lot of the women that I work with and coach, on paper, they look quite
Hmm.
successful, right? They've got the
Right.
degree, they've got
Hmm.
titles, they've got the new office, or they're entrepreneurs, their businesses are running smoothly, they're launching and growing and scaling. But what's happening here is they're losing themselves in the hustle,
Yes.
and they're
Yes.
telling themselves that I know everybody says that, I'll sleep when I'm dead. No,
Hmm.
that's not how it works, right? So people are
Hmm.
kinda killing themselves, with the idea of, "I just have to work harder, and then I'll be successful." The other part of
Mhm.
it is we have a lot of high achieving women. Now when you're high achieving, you might hit your goal, but you keep moving the goal
The
line.
needle. Yeah.
So you're never quite as successful as you think you are because you keep moving the criteria.
Yeah, the target. Mhm.
The target. And so what you have is an opportunity for these women who keep grinding and hustling and not really celebrating what they have achieved. You have opportunity for them to just pause and redefine what it means to be successful and what it means to have joy. And what I have found is that these women are not experiencing joy in this hustle mode. They're not
Right.
joy stuffing themselves into spaces that were not meant for them or shrinking
Yeah.
themselves in spaces where they're meant to take up all the space. And so this joy factor is something that I like to lean into because it's not something that is contextual, right?
Yes.
Probably hear people talk about happiness versus joy. Happiness, you could be happy about a particular thing, about being in a particular space, about a particular whatever, something has happened. It made
Right.
you a person made you happy doing something kind, but
Right.
joy is something internal, and to operate
Mhm.
in joy doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It doesn't mean that you're never sad or you're never frustrated or you're never um, unsettled. It means that you have made the choice, the intentional choice to situate yourself in the posture of joy. So that
Mhm.
means no matter what's happening around me, I can celebrate the joy within me. I can celebrate the positive things that are happening. I know that there's something better on the other side of this struggle, of this fill in the blank. And so this
Mhm.
joy piece just allows you to really operate and think it's okay.
Yeah, I wanna really get specific. It's one of the things that I say on the podcast, you all know as we talk, because I really believe, as you mentioned, because we look so good on paper and because everybody expects us to operate way up here all the time, 24/7, that it's hard for us to even ask questions that can feel a little dumb, like, yeah, but what does that mean? I feel like sometimes we get into these conversations where we assume that people know what it really means. And I love the way you broke down joy and and helping people to differentiate even between happiness and what that looks like. I want to go a little deeper into some practical um intentions because you mentioned about how joy is equated to intentionality. So, want to even kind of talk through some practical, intentional things that you can begin doing to foster the joy, right? So that it doesn't feel like it's something that, like positive thinking mantras was like, I feel great. I feel great. No, you don't. Right now, you don't. And let's honor that space too and authentically move to the state of joy. Like let's talk through what that looks like in real time.
Well, there's no, perfect formula, right, to create this joy. It's really a matter of switching your mindset. And then for all my faith-based leaders, it's a matter of being more aligned with God and being in step
Mhm.
with the purpose and assignment that He's given to you, and being okay knowing that
Mhm.
you're not in charge. And
Mm.
so once you're able um, to understand that and to accept it and to surrender the control you have in regards to what's next and what's coming and what's going to be, well, there's a peace that comes about. That
Mm.
peace can bring you joy. And so, as I mentioned, for my faith-based leaders, to be able to hold on to that joy, to acquire that joy, is something directly connected to your faith. And it makes it not easy, but it makes it a bit more accessible.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that because I believe we all have access. It's just about our ability to be able to posture ourselves in a way where we can be in the presence and the stillness. Because that's why I love the app that we have. If this is your first time hearing about our app, it's called I Lead, We Rise. Download the app because what Dr. Maya is talking about really is key. It's getting yourself in position to hear. You know, um, a lot of the people that we have on here, are, faith-based people. But if you're listening and you identify God as a source or a creator or being or the universe, whatever your concepts are, we want you to feel that you are welcome in the lounge. We just want to be able to give you some practical things for you to understand at the end of the day. You've got to understand that there is a higher power.
Right.
And I love the way you say that. When you understand it, submit, and most importantly, surrender. You said accept,
Yep.
and that's like a surrender because when you do understand that you're not really in the control of things like you think, there's a level of softness and submission that comes in
Yeah.
that really creates this space for peace. It's almost like when you're like floating in a body of water. Anybody ever tried that? You're just in a pool of water and you're floating. Just that essence, really is what ushers in that peace. And when you feel that, move into that. What are some things personally that when you find yourself in this state of peace that you enjoy doing to usher you into peace? A few
Yeah.
things, few practices that usher you there.
Well, I was gonna add one more thing about the peace.
Sure, go ahead.
Um, when you enter into that space of peace and you start to experience that joy, part of it, especially as high performing women and leaders, is you understand that what's supposed to be is going to be. And so,
Mm,
as successful ladies, we're usually chasing, right? We're chasing the title, we're chasing the money, we're chasing the promotion. And we think that the harder we work, that's going to make sure that we succeed in those efforts. And yes, our
yeah.
heart work is a part of this because they say, you, you, you you have to still move in the direction that God is pulling you. Yes, you still have to
Mhm.
be a part of that work. But
Right, it's co-collaboration.
yeah,
Mhm.
or not but and
Mhm.
once you realize that it's not all on you and that whatever God has in store for you is going to happen, there's an ease that comes over you.
Mm.
Realize it's not all in your hands. And so you do your part.
Mhm.
And so the stress of trying to churn and hustle and grind can be released a bit because
Yes,
like it's
yes.
all in your hands, which I
Mhm.
think like we are in control. We have to do everything. We have to, you know,
Yeah.
pull ourselves up and get to where we're going, right? And so
Yeah. I love
anyway,
that. This you made me think about an exercise that I did with my mentor one time, and she had us draw a line on a piece of paper, and it was like the 80-20. And so the 20% was our effort. And so what we did was we put our goal, and I'll challenge you all to do the same thing. It's a very practical exercise that really can help you bring home what Dr. Maya is saying today is that when you recognize that there's a higher source, then you're able to release, you're able to release it, and with more ease. And hold on a second. Sorry about that. You're able to you're able to release with more ease. And so what I want like for you all to do is that if you take the piece of paper and you write a line down the center of the paper and you do 80-20, you put your goal that you have, your big goal that you have in front. And the 20% is the things that you have the resources and the means that you can see right now. So that may be, make that social media post or maybe reach out to XYZ clients or to put that pitch deck together or whatever those tangible things are. But then that 80% is that stuff that you don't, it's out of your power. It's that part that is just up to God or our source. It is that part that maybe you need 50,000 or, half a million for your project. That's the part you put over there. The part you can't see how it's going to get done. You put that on that side of the line and you release it. It's a physical way just to release it and to say, okay, because we love to delegate as women or allocate,
Mhm,
Um, and so it's a way for us to like in our brains allocate this is for me. God, this is for you.
mhm, yeah,
However you work that out, that's between you. That's not my business. You know what I mean? You can work it out however you desire to work it out. Surprise me.
yeah,
But this right here, I can commit to this. And I know for me, it really helped me to move in that ease that you're speaking of and
yeah,
that trust, right? It's really that trust. What would
mhm.
you say the difference between having trust and having faith is?
Um, I mean, really, the faith part is trusting that God has a plan, and
Mhm.
his plans are for you to prosper. That's the trust part. So I don't know that they're necessarily different. Um, I would say they're about the same.
Mm.
Trust is this
Mm.
necessary to have faith. If you have faith, you're trusting in the power of God. You're relinquishing the thoughts around you're in control of it all, and you're moving forward even if you don't know what the next steps are or what the final
Mhm.
destination is, but you're still taking those steps because you trust in the source that's in control, and you trust the intentions of the source that's in control, and you trust
Yeah.
that on the other side of it, it's got positive intentions and it's for your good. So,
Oh, I love that. You said it's for your good because what I have found, Dr. Maya, in just the journey of evolving is that there's a self-worth that gets tarnished along the way. And so a lot of times we believe that God can.
yep.
We know, hey, we've seen it, we've heard testimonials, like we believe that, so our faith is there, but like, will he do it for me? You know?
Mhm.
For me, it's like that's the part that just kinda makes it harder. Like, you gotta trust that he not only will he do it, but he got you. He
Yep.
will do it for you, you know? And
Yeah.
so I love that so much. Now you mentioned are you a mom? Wife? You
You said a
mentioned
mother?
mom, right?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
a mother.
So
I
talk
have
to us about how you show up,
mhm,
and with this such a powerful essence that you carry, this poise and this grace that just it radiates. It really does. It's like a light. And I'm so refreshed by your presence because especially being, you know, um, leading of a ministry. There are so many people. You're visible to so many people who are in different phases of their journey. And
mhm,
sometimes they look at your life as the standard or the target almost.
yeah,
How do you keep that level of humanity, giving yourself room to be human, but at the same time keeping that standard high to where and even with your children in the relationship, because
yeah,
sometimes when you live a certain way, even your own children will think that you're above reproach, so keep that humanity and that accountability, what is your thoughts around that?
yeah. Well, my children definitely do not think I am above reproach. They,
Let's
the
get the record straight. Tell me
yeah,
their
and,
ages first so we can have some
oh,
context. What are their
yeah,
ages?
I mean, I have, a 15-year-old
Oh,
and I have twins that are 12, and girl,
awesome. All
mm,
girls?
all
All
girls,
girls.
and,
Oh,
it's one of those things where I practice what I preach, and so, this whole concept of not shrinking and using your voice and taking up space, well, I've tried to ingrain that into the children, and when they use it back on me, you know, it's like, "Well, wait a minute now." So I love to see it, of course. Sometimes, it's frustrating because you wanna say, "Hey, just do what I told you to do." But since that's part of how I've raised them is to ask questions respectfully, but to ask questions,
Yes.
to
Yes.
space that you deserve, to not shrink because you think that someone has a certain amount of authority, you can still respect without
Mhm.
shrinking. And so the girls
Yes.
definitely embody a lot of the concepts that I'm talking about, which is very interesting when you mix that with teenage and preteen.
Oh, yeah. That's why I just laughed when you said the age. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that is that," right? It's a double-edged sword, in
Yeah.
essence, but, I mean, when the smoke settles, it is such a reassuring, um joy that it brings to a mother who's intentionally imparting those principles into their children. And so it's so refreshing to even hear you say that, especially as young women of color. That level of assertiveness and confidence and courage is so important, especially in the generation that they're going to be leading, you
Yep.
know? And
Mhm.
so I love that, and I love that you're willing to, even in the midst of the moments, you're willing to like, "Okay, this is what I taught them. Let me be accountable," that
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah, I know I remember one of the girls when she was, maybe early elementary school, she was in this phase of, picking out her own clothes, and she would pick out every single pattern, like a plaid pant, leopard top, stripe, socks, like every pattern. She puts it on, comes downstairs, time for school. I say, you know, you have a set upstairs that there's a bottom that matches that top. Maybe you want to go put that on. And she says, well, mom, you told me that it doesn't matter what other people think about what I wear and what I look like as long as I like it. I said, "You are right. Do you like it?" She said, "I love it." I said, "Well, I love it too. Let's go." So I just let her, we won't go out the house and she's got all the patterns in the world. All
Yes.
and doesn't
Ah,
at all, not at all. But she threw it back at me. I gave it to her, she
that's
threw it.
it.
So
That's it.
yeah, yeah.
This is the type of real life conversations I love to have. Because when we talk about it, and it's one thing, but then when we see it mirrored back at us, how do we handle that? Because otherwise it just looks like it's a one-way street, you know? But the idea is to be able to see these behaviors mirrored back at you in your home, in your workplace. How do you see your beingness showing up in your marriage?
How do I see my beingness, you said?
Mhm. It's just like some of the things that you talk about, that you stand for, you know, um, how does that reflect back?
Oh, yes. So, how it reflects back is there's this beautiful kind of synergy that we have where we're able to communicate, my husband and I, we're able to
Mhm.
communicate not just what we want, but what we need.
Mm.
That has been just life changing.
Mhm.
For me, we've been married for 2 years. And so
Awesome.
we're able to not just talk about kind of household logistics, but actually talk about what it is that we need to feel whole, to feel
Mm.
supported, to feel, to continue to have the joy that we're both trying to maintain. And
Mhm.
definitely this whole using your voice, taking up space that manifests in the marriage, which is interesting because I'm able to, of course, speak what I need and name it while still operating, we call it like shared submission, right? So he's,
Yeah.
and even though I'm a CEO, I'm a boss, I'm a leader, um, and I speak what I need, I still trust for him to lead
Mhm.
in a way that is God driven and
Mhm.
best of our family, right? And so, but we make decisions together, but I still have no problem being in that space of submission as
Yeah.
wife. But a lot of people misinterpret what that means. It doesn't mean you do whatever the husband says. It doesn't mean you don't have a voice. It doesn't mean that your input's not valuable. That's not what it means. Like I said, I told you how I raised the girls. So clearly that's not what we're doing in this household, right? Like,
Yeah.
both.
But that's so good for you to clarify that because honestly, in my first marriage, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Like that's how I was, that's how leadership said. That's how they interpreted the Bible.
yeah,
If he's taking you off a cliff at the end of the day, he has to answer to God. Your job is to submit. That was literally the understanding
yeah,
that I had. So I love that you did. It wasn't until my second marriage that I got the revelation that you're having and just the level of ease. And my husband's like, "No, you're much better in that area. Why in the heck would I take leadership in that? That doesn't even make practical sense. You're
that's
a
right.
leader as well." And so that just opened up a whole new door. So I love the way you specified that because I do think that that is one of the deceptions that sometimes people that are not in the Christian faith or that are just misunderstood by the Christian faith. That is one of the things is that
Yeah,
we don't get to talk, we don't have much to say, we just have to submit to everything that the husband says. But I love
yeah.
that. So
That's the
there.
stuff that I've been, working with women on. I call it Unmuted. So it's my Unmuted
Mm,
program, and essentially is what you just named. We get into spaces, and either because we've internalized or we've been trained or for whatever reason, that's what we saw growing up, we
mhm,
believe that we're supposed to put our voices on mute, and we are
mhm.
supposed to just kinda be quiet, and question ourselves and just go along with what we're told. We feel like it's not safe to speak up and
Mhm.
need and what we want. And so this is something that is very common in a lot of women. Like you said, it's what
Mhm.
you thought when you got married, it's what I thought.
Mhm.
The, but then you learn that's not what it means to be in a marriage. It does not mean
Mhm.
to shrink. It does not mean that you have to be on mute. Your voice has to be heard. Your voice is a very important part of running this household and lead.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Yeah, your work team and your home team. And another thing too, I feel like the skill, and I'm sure you do this in your program, of knowing, then it becomes knowing how to say it and when to say it, right?
mhm.
Now that you have that voice, it's not enough. We gotta then know the timing because that's what makes all the difference in the world as well. And
Yeah.
so, um, when it comes to, just your work, what is the one thing that you would like for people that are listening on today to take away with them? They're going back in their busy lives, they're going back into the hustle and bustle of work and life and home and ministry and all the things that they're a part of, and they've been able to carve out this moment to tune in. What
Yeah.
would you like to leave with them?
Well, I've talked a lot about taking up space, using your voice, um, coming off mute. And what I have found is that a lot of women are on mute because they don't think they're worthy. They don't think their voices are worthy. They don't think what they have to offer is worthy, or they think because what they've been through, they don't deserve joy. And so my message to everyone is that you are worthy. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of joy.
Mm,
You're worthy of wholeness. In fact, I have a journal that I wrote called Worthy of Wholeness. And it's
mm,
women who are seeking wholeness while they're healing. And the concept that
mm,
you're
mm.
worthy even while you're healing. You do not have to be perfect to have a
Yeah,
you do not have to be perfect to walk in purpose. You do not
yeah.
have to be perfect to be worthy of love or success. None of it, right? And so, that is the big takeaway. You are worthy, your voice is valuable, you are valuable. That's
Mm.
what I would say.
Wow, beautiful. Well, you heard her. You are worthy, you're beautiful, you are valuable. And for those men who are listening, you're worthy too. You know, I think that a lot of times we're in a very, what used to feel like a very male dominant culture, which I believe in a lot of ways it still is. But
Mhm.
when it comes to the way in which we are starting to show up and to own the different, areas of leadership in different facets, have been pretty incredible to see over the years. And one of the things I'll say, even listening as a man, we talked about dual submission and
Mhm.
shared responsibility. There's no greater power than a man who is secure in his ability to allow um, um, dual learning, to be open to dual learning and to be wise enough to understand that a wife is an information center. She is housed with so much wisdom, and she's designed to receive information and to receive the things that, the revelation that could be game changing in your decision
Yeah.
making process.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
so,
learned something, in during our wedding, our bishop, he told us that in the Bible, they actually refer to the woman as the helpmate.
mhm,
Adam and Eve, the whole story, she's his help.
mhm, mhm,
And so she's designed to support him and to help,
absolutely.
help him achieve his dreams and to help him be, what God intends for him to be. And so you can't be muted
Absolutely.
and help
Mm. And
some.
help at the same time.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
can't be the helpmate and muted because clearly your voice is
Mhm.
valuable enough that God created you to be the helpmate.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. What a beautiful conversation. Listen, this is where souls get awakened right here in the Peace Driven Leader Lounge, where we
Mhm.
pull some of the most profound, spirit-led leaders of leaders across the planet to be able to come and sit with us. So thank you so much for your insight, for your wisdom, for your grace. It's been such a phenomenal joy to have you in this space. Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. Remember, peace driven leadership is not something you find, it's something you create. And this is your moment to create it. I look forward to connecting with you, looking forward to engaging with you inside of our app with more specialized leaders like Dr. Maya, and look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye bye for now.